Welcome to the Writing in Your Jammies podcast. I'm your host, Jeannie Hall, and this podcast is all about our individual spiritual journeys. I discuss a mix of personal development, psychology, and spirituality to help you live the life of your dreams. Let's transform our lives together. Welcome to the Writing in Your Jammies podcast. This is podcast 53, Ick Removal. So before I start this particular podcast, I have a quick note for you. The exercise that I'll be discussing in this particular podcast, I actually did the exercise and it literally worked for me in real time. As I was writing this podcast, I worked through the exercise and I was in a real emotional funk. I was not feeling well and not happy and couldn't seem to change that. So I did this exercise and it literally broke me out of it. So if you want to try it out for yourself, I am proof positive that this particular exercise does work. I do definitely recommend using this for yourself because it definitely worked for me. Also, please be advised, this podcast contains even more explicit language than usual. Just FYI. Thanks. Okay, so lately, I have been struggling with lots of ick. If you listen to my last podcast, which was all about self-doubt, then you already know this. And with that ick came some pretty severe self-doubt, like I just mentioned. And it came up all of a sudden, without warning or provocation. And I'm going to be real frank about it. It sucks ass. It sucks ass to feel shitty all the time and to feel, especially when you're someone like me who believes in self-development, personal development, and changing your life and being a co-creator with God and the universe and source, and knowing that my thinking affects my feelings and not having problems changing how I've been feeling. That is sucky. So here's the thing though. When we feel this way, we have a choice to make, and we can, number one, wallow in it like a pig in the mud, or we can decide to get past it somehow. And so, I really did think about going with number one. I was really honestly tempted to just wallow. Honestly, it felt like the easy thing to do, the easy path. So I was actually tempted to just do that. And in the past, wallowing is exactly what I would have done. But I also know that wallowing is indulging in an emotion that isn't going to serve me. And even though I've been tempted to do a Bart Simpson and scream, "Hell damn fart," and just hide in my bed, I know that's not going to help me long term. It's not going to make me feel any better. It's not going to bring my dream life to me any faster. And it's not going to get rid of the ick, which is the goal. So I did what Master Life Coach Brooke Castillo calls a thought download. And I've mentioned both Brooke and thought downloads on this podcast in the past. But just in case you're not familiar with either, let me explain what they are. A thought download is when you set a timer and you sit down with a pen and paper and you write exactly what's in your mind. And you're not going to censor your words at all. If you feel like writing fuck, then write fuck, F-U-C-K. Don't limit yourself in any way. Don't worry about grammar or handwriting or anything else. You're going to write whatever comes out as you think about what's been bothering you. So you're going to focus on that feeling of ick, and then you're going to write. And it's very important to do this as well. You need to be absolutely and brutally honest, no matter what. So no hiding behind, oh, but that just is because of this, and I don't honestly feel that way. I've been struggling with this, but don't do that. Be absolutely honest and write out what you're thinking. And don't think very hard about it. Just let your hand and your pen go. And I'm going to be real honest with you, just doing this part alone, writing all of it down, will really help to exercise some of those nasty little emotional demons out. So if you're struggling with something or you feel covered in ick, try this. I dare you to be real with yourself on this. I double dog dare you. Because I know that's how it helped me, because I didn't hold anything back. And speaking of myself, I'm going to use my own example of the exercise I just did today to help myself break out of my icky emotional state. I'm going to use myself as a case study. So I decided to share my own download with you, and I deleted repeats that I wrote again and again, and I also deleted anything where I couldn't read my own handwriting because I was so sloppy. But this is the gist. So I kind of did this in kind of a bullet point format. So this is what came out. I feel gross. Like nothing I do matters. Like I'm not getting anywhere. I don't want to be here. I want to leave, to quit. So sick of this. Sick and tired. Why am I still here? Why isn't this working? Want traction. Want to see the way. Want to get out. Want money so I can do what I need to do without needing to stay here. Okay. So this is the bare bones of my own thought download. And after you do your own thought download, you're going to want to do what I did, which was to pause and look at what you wrote. So I had to pause and I wanted to type out the main ideas. So it really caused me to really look at the words I wrote and how I wrote them. So sometimes, as I've mentioned before, we can be really surprised by the stuff that we write and the stuff that kind of spews out of us. And I certainly was this time around. I was really surprised at the pure vitriol underlying my own thought download, because I knew I was getting frustrated deep down, and I knew I felt disappointed sometimes because stuff wasn't happening as fast as I wanted it to. But this, the vehemence I felt when I wrote this, I mean, it was so strong and so intense that I pushed the pen down really hard on the paper. That's how much emotion was inside of me. So you're going to want to, after you pause and look at it, you're going to want to analyze the individual thoughts and see if any kind of pattern emerges for you. In mine, I saw the thought, I want out, a lot. That was what kept coming up. That's what kept repeating. And I kept saying that same basic idea in several different ways. And the thing I want out of is my day job. And I knew that, and you guys know that if you've been listening to this podcast, because I bellyache about it sometimes. But I really didn't realize how frustrated I still felt at this point. Like frustrated to the point of wanting to throw something. Really, like wanted to wind up and throw it as hard as I could until it shattered against the wall. That kind of frustration. And, you know, as someone who has been studying all these things like A Course in Miracles and Abraham Hicks and Law of Attraction and NLP and all these other spiritual teachings, I guess I just felt like I should be further along than this. You know, I realize this is a spiritual journey, and I tell you guys that all the time too. But the truth of the matter is I felt like I should be further along. I felt like I shouldn't still be struggling like this with frustration. what the hell's wrong with me, right? That's really what it boiled down to. I am frustrated, most of all, by far, with myself and what I felt like was a lack of progress. And I do meditate, and I do listen to personal development podcasts on a daily basis. And I work to keep my keep my thoughts really positive all the time, or as best as I can, as often as possible, basically. So then why am I still feeling this level of frustration? Why am I feeling so impatient? And what I decided after I sat and contemplated that for a minute was that I'm still very much a human being. And though I believe that all of us are actually spiritual beings connected to the divine, and that we're perfect in that state, the state I'm in right now, which is a human state, is very flawed. That's what being a human is. And as a human, I still get angry and I get down on myself sometimes. I expect a higher standard, and I expect it to happen more quickly than it sometimes does. And I get tears of frustration in my eyes if I then look at that and feel like a failure. And even though I know, intellectually, I know this, that failure is a part of success, it still feels on an emotional level and in my body, it feels shitty as hell. I hate feeling like that. And that's just the truth. So I've been feeling like a failure. And it's not because I feel like I'm always going to be a failure. It's that I feel like one right now. And this is why. I started asking questions. I did a podcast on that not too long ago, too. So one of the questions, though, that I asked myself was, have I gotten a client yet? No. Have I made significant amounts of money in my new business that I'm all so proud of and hyped over and excited about? No. Have I created that online course that I'm so excited about? No. Does that make me feel like an utter and complete failure right now, in this moment? Oh yeah, it sure does. And that sucks. But here's what I realized, dear listeners. Even though I felt like a failure, and I felt like all those things meant I was a failure, it doesn't mean I'm a failure at all. And let me ask myself a few more questions. Have I helped anyone since starting this Writing in Your Jammies venture? I started originally when I asked myself that question, say, no, I haven't helped anyone. Whiny, right? Complaining. And then I realized the answer to that question is not no. Because I know I've helped some people. So I had to say, well, yes. I know for a fact that I've helped people that I work with in my office. And I can dare say that I've helped people through social media too, because recently, for 30 days straight, I broadcasted a Facebook Live tackling some sort of issue, whether it was writer's block or self-confidence. And I did that commitment every day for 30 days. And based on comments that I received, I have to conclude that I helped at least a couple of my Facebook friends with those live broadcasts. I mean, I don't think whenever they say, oh, wow, that really helps me, I think that was sincere. So I can't discount that. I can't ignore that and say, no, I didn't help anybody. No, I suck at this, meh, and start whining. No, I know for a fact that I did help some people with that. Just these little Facebook Lives that were a few minutes, and I know I've helped people directly, face to face, at my job, at my day job that I'm trying so desperately to get away from, right? Isn't that my whole goal, is to help people? Huh. Then I asked myself this: have I increased my visibility out in the world? Yes. My subscriber list for my newsletter has increased from 4 to over 100. And that's pretty damn conclusive evidence too, by pretty much anyone's standard. Numbers are numbers, right? I have shared over 50 podcasts now, and along with that, the same number of blog posts, actually a few more blog posts, because I've had a few more written blogs and also some guest blogs. So over 50 on both of those. And I've written 6 books. I revamped my website so everything is easy to get to for anyone who might stop by. So if a client wants to make a free consultation mini session appointment with me, it's very simple to do so. And they can go there, they can go look at my books, they can go find me on social media, all very easily from my website, because I made sure of that. I even optimized my Pinterest page too, among some other things that I've been working on. So how is that failing exactly? Well, the truth is, my friends, it's not failing. But what happened was, I was so focused on where I still am at my day job, rather than working for myself and for you full time, that's all I could see. I couldn't see the forest for the trees, as they say. And once that clicked into my mind and understanding dawned, it helped me so much, y'all. Seriously. I literally had such a strong attitude adjustment that I had done this kind of on my lunch and done this exercise and worked on it. And the other manager who was working with me right before we closed, she came up to me and she said, "How are your eyes so wide open? You look so happy right now." And I told her, "I feel a lot better right now than I did when we came in." So she noticed. That's the kind of transformation that happened just from one exercise. So this is very powerful. And I could go back to my thought of needing to get out and try and explain that and go into this long analysis, but I don't really think I need to do that anymore for you guys. Tell me if I'm wrong. But I think the answers that I was really trying to get at have already come. Am I a failure for not being as far along as I'd like to be right now? No. Why? Because I've made so much progress. I have made tons of progress. And progress is movement. And movement equals momentum. And with enough momentum, you are guaranteed to reach that state of bliss that we're all after. And I know that. I know that I am reaching that state. It might be slowly and surely, but it is surely that is what's happening. Woo, right? The feeling of ick is officially gone now. Woohoo, right? I mean, the change is dramatic. And this has been going on for a couple of weeks, off and on. And today I feel like I finally broke past it. Breakthrough time, right? Very powerful. So if you find yourself struggling like I have been, don't forget to give yourself credit for what you have done, for what you have already accomplished. Because I can promise you, you have accomplished something. You've actually accomplished lots of somethings. And that's what you can focus on. to change how you're feeling. And just being fully cognizant of what insidious little asshole of a thought is messing with your head can be the exact thing you need to put a stop to it. You can stop it in its tracks because you're smarter than it is. It's just a thought. It's just a sentence in your head. So once you recognize it as such, you can say, is it true? And then really look at that and do what I did and say, okay, well, this over here is true and that over there is true. But this, am I a failure, period, full stop? No, that's not true. And feeling that and stopping the asshole thought, the ick, can allow you to move forward again. All right, you guys, I love all of you who are listening, and I send you love out as much as I possibly can through these airwaves. And I wish you an ick-free day, week, month, and year. Bye-bye. Thanks so much for listening to the Writing in Your Jammies podcast. I appreciate every download and every person who has subscribed. I release new episodes every Wednesday and Saturday, so if you enjoy this content, please consider leaving a review. Have a topic you'd like me to discuss or want to appear on this podcast? Contact me anytime at jeannie@writinginyourjammies.com. Thanks again for listening.